What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekettes? Welcome to a brand new episode of Chris's Custom Collectables, and today it is the first ever pop vinyl custom collectible. We are going to be doing the 460 Thanos Pop vinyl. This guy is huge. I have seen him on and off at Zing for the longest time, and I always thought I'd like to repaint him one day. So I ordered him online. He was here within a couple of days. I suppose we should get him out of the box first, but first, it's time for a sponsor segue. Whoa! Now here's the perfect segue, and keeping with the theme of Marvel, I just want to give a massive shout out to the sponsor of this video, the amazing crew over at Marvel Collect by Tops. Now I remember back in the day being in primary school, I had the OG trading cards and I actually had some Marvel ones in my collection. Now it's all streamlined and you can get, collect and trade cards all on your mobile device. A few awesome features that I love include a card wheel that you can spin and win every time. You can give your profile a unique touch with character avatars, and not to mention the amazing character art on the cards that reminds me of the concept art from all the Marvel films. Now I'm not being biased at all, but my favorite is Cap. Marvel Collect is also an awesome way to connect with fellow geeks and geekettes, as you can follow their collecting adventures too. So that means that you can follow me with the username Cosplay Chris. I will leave a link in the video description below, and you can start collecting today, geeks and geekettes. Okay. I've already paper cut myself, that's great. Ow. So in terms of the Endgame, I'm going for simplicity. This is the look I'm going for. This is my reference point, the Hot Toys Thanos from Endgame. He's going to be very, very battle damaged within the armor. We're going to have some bloody sections on his face, some cuts, some nicks, some bruises. We're also going to be doing some highlighting in the crevices of his face as well as the lips, and just try and get a bit of texture going on the exposed skin areas. But for the most part, this is going to be a very simple museum battle damage piece. We're also going to get some spare foam that I've got lying around. We're going to make a rock feature for the base. So the first step with any custom collectible, usually anyway, we have to dismantle and take apart this piece and see what we're dealing with in terms of pieces. So with that being said, let's get to it. So in order to take this piece apart, it's pretty tricky and involves a lot of skill. So let's give it a go. Man, that was hard. Okay, so the first step in this custom collectible is applying the battle damage to his armor and his helmet. So for that, we're going to be using my rotary tool. We've got the cutoff wheel, and we've also got an engraver head. So the engraver head's actually pretty good for emulating cracks throughout the armor, so I'm going to be using that Hot Toys figure as reference for the battle damage all over his armor, and just especially the shoulder areas where it's severely cracked, as we saw towards the end of the film when he fights Thor, Iron Man and Cap. Then once that's done, we've cleaned away the excess debris and dust and whatnot off the two pieces. We're then going to use a clear primer. So the clear primer we're actually going to be using is a Duramax Dulux plastic primer. It's clear because obviously we want these colors as a base color, and it's going to help our paints and shoe polishers, that's right, shoe polishers, adhere to these two pieces. Okie dokie, now that the shoe polishing side is complete and the shoe polish has dried, it's time to move on to some good old traditional dry brushing, geeks and geekettes. So I've got a mixture of paint vials here, Model Master paint vials. We've got a gold, we have a Arctic blue metal. Now I actually ran out of copper paint in these vials, so I'm actually going to be spraying some Rust-Oleum copper paint here into a little cup and dry brushing with that at the moment. So this is actually going to be for the Infinity Gauntlet. We're going to give it a nice copper dry brushing look. This right here, the gold, is going to be for majority of all the gold pieces of the armor, just to highlight back the detail, but also highlight the black crevices where the shoe polish has gone into. And we're going to be using the Arctic blue metal paint for all the inner pieces right here. Now I still have to do some cleanup on the actual purple parts here of the body. For the face part, I'm pretty happy with that. I've wiped away as much excess as possible. And we still actually have to go in and do some purple highlights on all the exposed skin and also the face itself, as well as the blood detail where he's all been cut up. Now, before I get ahead of myself, let's do this section here. Now, if you guys are new to custom collectibles and you don't know what dry brushing is essentially the art of getting as little paint as possible on a brush and just brushing it over certain details to highlight a beautiful piece. All right, we're gonna start with the Infinity Gauntlet. We're then gonna move on to the gold pieces of armor and then the Arctic blue pieces of armor. So with that being said, let's get to it. Alrighty, it's now time to do some highlights on Thanos' actual skin. So I went ahead and mixed some blue, red, and a little bit of white just to make a lighter, different shade of purple to the base color of the figure itself in the skin area. So I'm just grabbing a fine brush and I'm actually just going over all areas of his skin and just kind of giving it a bit more depth so it's not so two-dimensional on the figure. I'm then going to mix a different color and then start to highlight the crevices in his chin, his brow, his nose, and some of the crevices on the side here. I'm then going to grab just a plain deep red here and start to go in for his injuries and his cuts. I let the purple paint dry and actually then grabbed a scourer sponge and just lightly scrubbed all areas of his exposed face, and it just left that purple detail in the crevices, and I'm pretty happy with that, to be honest. It just highlights all that beautiful detail, gives him a bit more expression. So with that being said, let's move on to his facial wounds. Alright, Geeks and Geekettes, the figure is pretty much done and dusted apart from a coat of a matte finish, but that can wait until we are finished with the base. So in terms of the base, it's going to be simple and just more of a museum piece to complement the figure itself. So we've just got some insulation foam you can get from Bunnings. I've cut it a 16 centimeter by 16 centimeter square, and we're just going to take some sculpting tools and just sculpt away to give it a rock formation feature. We're also going to mark where the feet are going to go so he can rest and slot in easily without the risk of falling over. Once I'm happy with the rock formation and the carving, I'm then going to go in with a flat grey primer from Rust-Oleum, and that's going to be acting as also the base color for our rock feature. So I'm then going to go in with some black shoe polish and just do some washes until I reach a happy medium. Once that's all done and fully dried, I'm going to glue the figure down to the base, give it one final mist coat of matte sealer, and then we can call it a day. And there we have it, guys, the very first Pop Vinyl custom collectible here on the channel. Now I know it wasn't an overly complicated customization, but it was just great fun, just killed some time, and honestly, I'm hoping for anyone that tries this tutorial, it's a happy little distraction for what's going on in the world at the moment. Guys, wherever you are in the world, have yourselves an absolute cracker of a day. I hope you're well, hope you're happy, be merry, be silly, and until next time, geeks, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.